I specifically told you not to tell any
Seriously,
stories.
I wanted you to
name.
talk as little as possible.
I mean, that was just because I hated Mitchell Trubisky, so I understand.
Seriously, you come on my podcast, you talk bad about my guys. Why should I let you talk? You're lucky I didn't just mute you. You're lucky I don't know how to mute anybody. Otherwise, I would have muted you.
Oh, man, this is going to be fun.
Speaking of Russ, why don't you just stop talking for a little bit? Okay. Story time. Go. We need to know now.
All right, so my name is complicated. My dad's name is Timothy, basic name. My mom's name is Helen, and they decided to go with Cisan or Shaitan for me. So I go by Aton, but when I was in college, it was really, really interesting to be a kid in class on the first day because usually, you go to class and the teacher starts going over the name, starts taking roll, and everything kind of works somewhat normally. That wasn't always the case in my classes. I would go to class, I'd sit down, I'd wait for the teacher to, get halfway through the alphabet or so. My last name is Mosia. And then as soon as they sat there and kind of looked like this and just didn't understand what was going on in life, then I'd be like, oh, hey, that's me. That's me. You can call me Aton.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Just teaching to several ethnicities, and sometimes they don't even tell me like what how to pronounce it correctly. So they'll like call themselves something. They'll have these kids call them something. These kids call them something, and I'm just like, I don't even know. I just have to call them for what they tell me. So if they say that my name is Todd Gurley, I'm gonna have to abide because the dude abides.
You would have to. You would definitely have
I love
to.
where you tried to navigate with that, and you were bringing it in for a landing, and it just didn't.
The old compass is a bit off these days.
It was a great effort, though.
Mike. Yeah, I don't have anything to say, but welcome to the open bar. We're live of sorts. We did this a little bit late, extra late because our exec producer sucks. And we're here at 10 Eastern-ish. Who you just heard was Aton, correct?
Correct.
No, that's Cisan or Shaitan.
This job's easy.
Hey, that was the closest that I've gotten in like 15 years. So that's definitely good. We're gonna be friends, J Mike.
Love it.
Speaking of J Mike, hey man, how are you?
How you? Doing fantastic at this point. We've got a fun group at the bar. Aton's first time at the bar, so this should be fun. The exec producer's back. The potty's back. This is going to be a good one. And obviously, fantasy regular seasons for the most part are over. Second round of the SFBs upon us. We've had people suspended. We've had people have breakout games. Hello, Jeff Wilson. Welcome to the party, big fella. I see you getting ready to get this first start, doing work. And then we've had other people just be absolutely awful with their opportunity. And we'll get into all of it, I imagine, at some point. What in the world are you sipping, Gabe? Because that looks delicious and scary at the same time.
Yeah. It is really an interesting color. It's kind of, I don't know. I guess I'd say that, I don't know, Russ would probably drink something like this inside of his home. If you get my drift on the
I don't
old,
get it. Can you please explain it?
On the old handle, because your name's made of poop.
It's not made of poop. It houses poop.
It houses. Okay. Wow. Anyways,
that's got to be his lifelong dream,
what?
though, to have an actual outhouse built of shit.
I mean, it is now. I never thought of it before.
But it's the shitty trade offers he gets. So I mean, he's just built it out of those.
Wow.
www.patreon.com/Dynasty Outhouse coming soon.
I don't know what we're paying for or what we're paying with, but I certainly am not interested. J Mike, this is called a Debbie don't. So you know, anytime you're just feeling that hate, motherfuckers flexing on you, just be like, Debbie, don't. Okay.
I'm 100% here for that. I'm 100% here for the Debbie don't. That's good. I like that. The long laugh in between. That's perfect. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was thinking about the old Debbie don't tonight. Honestly, when I read a tweet and I saw a complaint about missing the playoffs by so and so points by from a 90-yard Adrian Peterson touchdown or something, and that he's never really done that before. And I was just like, look, Debbie. Debbie.
I love that you base your cocktail choice off of this scenario.
Don't. All right, so let's get to the guests. We're here. We're live. We have J Mike. He's my dude. He's my man. We've got the outhouse, the toilet that lives outside. It's Russ. It's Rich. I don't know what the fuck his name is. It's Jake, the NFL draft talker of late. No more, though. He is now the FF. Fuck. What are you?
It doesn't really matter at this point.
Just go Anderson with FF, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and we've got a not so professional handle with us. Keeping it real. I think and NFL draft talker was real as shit, and so Eitan, do not change your name ever. Okay. The FF Wonder Kids. So we got you three in here. Say some words. Introduce yourself. You can go first. Eitan, Jake, Russ.
I'll let you guys go.
Russ, light it up, dude.
Trying to find a pun and lighting up and dealing with shit or something, but I got nothing. Sup, everybody?
He called shit poop.
Don't tell me my business, devil woman. Sup, ladies and gentlemen? Dynasty Outhouse in the house. Oh man, I feel cool now. Never said anything like that before. Yeah, proud, happy, all of those nice adjectives to be here today. Love being on the open bar, especially when J Mike just gets up and walks away in the middle of me talking. It doesn't really hurt my feelings at all.
No, it was probably for you specifically. Actually, I think it was.
I know. I am very hurt and crying on the inside, and I'm doing the best not to do it in front of the 6 people that are probably watching this right now, including the 4 of you.
Actually, the thing about it is, Russ, I was listening to you the entire time. The wonder of technology has me rocking these Bluetooth earbuds now, as opposed to those big monsters that kept me basically right here in front of this, so I can refill my drink and listen to you talk about how you're lighting up the house, in the house, in the outhouse, outside the in-house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I gotta look into that. I have this like 4-inch long cord that I turn my head and I almost knocked my laptop off the desk.
Oh, that's not the move. You've got a new house. It's time for a new earbud in the outhouse's house.
Or the phone. Who is that? Brian. Brian had the phone.
That was fantastic.
Oh my god.
Sharper image phone.
Yes. Got that out of the Sky Mall,
Hey, don't talk bad about Hammock or Schlemmer.
Jake, where's most of your work right now before we start jumping into stuff, so we can actually, in case people don't know you, where is everyone finding your work nowadays?
Yeah, I'm still at DLF. I do a podcast with the Peter Howard, the Howdy on Twitter. He's all over the place. We do the Dynasty Crossroads. We talk about one play at a time from a film and analytical perspective. And then, I just do all those graphics and stuff. That's at Fantasy Graphics on Twitter. Yeah, that's about it. I haven't written anything in quite a while. I just do rankings and podcasting over there at DLF. But yeah, that's it.
Wait, I should probably learn to pimp my podcast out. Trade Addicts Podcast, everybody. We're awesome. And speaking of fantasy graphics, I had a bet about Devontae Adams going over 1,150 yards with my co-host at Brian Har FF. And you'll see a nice, beautiful Devontae Adams avatar made by the man, the myth, the legend, ex-NFL draft talker, Jake Anderson FF. So go check it out. Give him your money to go make beautiful, beautiful avatars.
Facts.
Now give me that $5 you promised me.
Not now, right now.
These plugs ain't free.
Last but not least, Aton, where are we finding your work, man?
You can kind of find me all over the place as well. You can find me at Fantasy Pros. You can also find me at Fantrax HQ. If you go to my Twitter at FF_WonderKid, you'll see that I actually do a Dynasty Diagnostic report. And I will be launching a Dynasty Diagnostic podcast with FF Stompy the next couple of weeks. And with that podcast, what we'll be doing is just deep diving into specific Dynasty teams and just giving some people some actionable advice on what they could actually do in their specific situations, as well as just going over basic Dynasty theory and a lot of that.
Money in the bank.
We have quite the cast tonight, J. Mike.
Yeah, man. Very accomplished gentlemen of fantasy leisure, if you will. The chat has already spoken in terms of what we should kick the night off on.
You think so?
Shout out to the chat already. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Yeah, and actually, the shout out to Renshaw, who's on the show last week. Renshaw throws out CJA as a talking point. Obviously, CJ Anderson signs with
my goodness
Kansas City Chiefs, and it really puts my trade for Mr. Spencer Ware in the toilet a little bit. I'm a little disappointed about that. Gave up one of my favorite players to get him in a little bit. So yeah, I lost a share of Anthony Miller to get Ware, and now Ware seems obsolete, and I want to cry. So, can we talk about the Chiefs' backfield? What are you guys scared at all with CJ? Are we nervous? Is it even valuable anymore to own an Andy Reid running back right now when you don't know who it's going to be?
Okay, J. Mike, did you say the correct name? Let's start there.
What'd I say?
CJ Anderson.
Went to Oakland.
Didn't Renshaw just troll you?
I think he did.
I think it just happened.
We didn't work all
It's
day.
like that motherfucker looking at his phone all day. I'm gonna get him right now.
Oh, he did. That, my friend,
Trolls in the building.
is podcasting at its finest.
Yeah.
I
So
put my-
are you
Don't you feel better
concerned
about that right now?
about the AFC West rival? Man, the Raiders just keep getting older though. They can't stop, won't stop. What?
Wait, can we just talk about that picture of J Mike that popped up for a second? What are
Dude,
you,
beautiful.
like 18 in that picture? Nice and trimmed beard and hair. What was that?
J Mike, the mic's gone. Now you're just Jay.
Look at that.
Now there he is. It's back.
That's like baby J.
There he is.
That's Baby J.
Wow. He kind of looks like an Khalid. Like he's about to put a Khalid album cover out.
That's Tinder profile, J Mike.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, while J Mike's figuring out that situation, still can't hear you, pal. Just so if you're are you talking?
Now I am.
Oh yeah, you sound great now. Did you have anything to add to the addition of CJ Anderson to the Raiders, J Mike?
No, we had talked about Doug Martin being fun last week, which was great. And now that seems to be all over. Like, what do we even take from any of this?
Stay away like you probably were before.
Yeah, definitely stay away. But not only that, I mean, CJ Anderson is probably the most complete back in that backfield. Just because Doug Martin's been there for a while, I would say that he's still going to retain that starting role. But in terms of bringing the skill sets of both Doug Martin and Jalen Richard all in one, I feel that's kind of what you get out of CJ Anderson. But I mean, we've already seen him be obsolete on one team. I think it's just going to happen all over again.
Did Doug Martin get hurt?
Nope.
I don't have any Doug Martin shares, so I saw that earlier when I was out with my wife and daughter. I got that alert about CJ Anderson. I was like, did something happen to Doug Martin?
He was just like benched at last game. He was just sitting there with his helmet like on the top of his head.
So does he have a concussion? Like, what's going on? Like, why would you bring in CJ Anderson if Doug Martin is healthy? I mean,
or just period. Like, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean,
the Doug Martin part.
Yeah, I stashed CJ Anderson in multiple leagues because I was hoping the Chiefs, like J Mike said earlier, were going to sign him because, I mean, at least there's an opportunity, right? Spencer Ware didn't look as good as we may have liked or may have predicted. And CJ Anderson, like Eitan said, is a well-rounded running back. If he gets opportunity in the Chiefs offense, I'm definitely interested, especially as a deep stash in dynasty leagues. But yeah, now it's just like, great. He's part of a committee with the Oakland Raiders.
I think what's really interesting even about the Raiders is that we were able to watch in terms of a points per game standpoint. So Doug Martin, he's in a PPR league, he's averaging 12.7 yards per game, which puts him at the back end of RB2. Is that right? That can't be right. Points per game? 20.7. He had 23rd overall in points per game, which is kind of mind-boggling. That puts him in front of Rashad Penny, in front of Lamar Miller on the season so far. So it's not like he's been total trash. And then they bring in like what do you expect? Like how do you think about bringing in CJ Anderson and expect there to be any I don't understand any of it, I guess is the thing. And maybe that's just Oakland. I don't know.
I think you're trying to understand John Gruden. There's no understanding John Gruden right now.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I think he's just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks at this point.
Making it look like he's trying.
Can we?
I mean,
Russ, I don't really appreciate you talking about our podcast subliminally like that. Okay.
I'm just saying you guys should try a little harder. There was like no fruit basket sent for me or anything. Like I was left in that group DM by myself for minutes at a time. I didn't know what was happening. I was scared. I was by myself. And then you guys come in and you're just yelling at me, and I need a minute.
It was just you, Shaq, and a cat.
You want me to mute you again, or?
I feel like the other thing that we do need to talk about, though, at least as we get ready to go into playoffs and whatnot.
What are those?
What do you say?
I said, what are those?
Oh. Playoffs. What are those? As we get ready to go into playoffs, is it a case where you guys are you guys in a lot of leagues where they allow for trading like in the playoffs?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
As it should.
Trade addicts, baby. Never
I'm
trade
mine, but I need to get one of those.
So with that being the case, like how far would you guys be willing to go in a league where the trade deadline doesn't exist? Because I find it super intriguing. Like the closer you get, it feels like the more likely that you'd be able to give up everything or like anything for the title, right? What kind of trades have you guys seen or even been a part of that say, hey, you know what, I'm willing to do this for this title?
I've got one. Shout out, and then this happened within our dynasty league with Threet. Shout out to, is he in the chat? Is he in there watching? No. Okay. Well, we're talking about you now, 3D. Okay. So we've got, he gave up AJ Green because done for the year, right? AJ Green, James Washington, I hate leagues like this. A 2020 round 2 draft pick. And then In return, he received DJ Moore and 2 fourth-round draft picks in 2019 and 2020. So,
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that was kind of my reaction initially seeing it. Just, I would assume that giving up AJ Green and James Washington in a second is quite a bit for DJ Moore. I mean, AJ Green alone for DJ Moore is probably still not in your favor, right? Or is that? Do I not understand where AJ Green is?
I think it's definitely getting closer. I mean,
I agree. Yeah.
ADP wise, I think, AJ Green's going to probably be somewhere in that late third range. And I think DJ Moore's probably going to be in that fourth range really soon. The crazy thing about that, DJ Moore has played really well, but they're still not getting him, full snap share in that offense, even with Devin Funchess hurt. But I mean, he has been playing well. I mean, but I think Funchess being injured and then being nicked up even last week, he didn't play all that many snaps. You'd have to imagine when Funchess gets back, he, takes into his target share and his market share in that offense. But Greg Olsen out for the season, so that certainly helps his outlook too. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to think of it like that. But I've probably seen maybe crazier trades than that.
Melvin Gordon owners have been going kind of crazy, and James Conner owners are starting to go a little nuts. I've seen a bunch. Actually, I've seen 2 separate Melvin Gordon for Christian McCaffrey trades.
Oh, I did a monster for Christian McCaffrey for I traded away Gordon too.
So there you go. That I don't know why that's such a popular combination, but I've seen a lot of that. It's the James Conner owner. What did he sell? He sold Aaron Rodgers. He downgraded at quarterback to get a better running back because he's afraid of how long he'll lose Connor for. So I mean, I haven't seen anyone be dumb about it. It's been fixing holes that were created because of injuries, or I mean, I lost Kareem Hunt and AJ Green, so I'm just going to call it a year on that one. But I haven't seen anyone just blow up the team besides their starting lineup to try and win. And that's what everyone's afraid of. That's everyone's excuse is, well, I've seen people destroy teams and then leave. And like I have 5 years in Dynasty. I've never seen that.
I mean, I think the thought process behind doing something like that, like, because I had Gordon, I was 12-0, and
Humble brag.
Obviously, well, it's just part of the situation. Is you have this desperation that you want to make that turn into something, right? Mm-hmm. And I was 12-0, and a lot of people, I said, Gordon's on the block because it was early on in the process, and you don't know when he's going to come back. And it sounds like he might be back sooner than later. It might be week 15. But again, if you don't know what's going to happen, losing one of your best pieces is a scary thought process when you're in that stage. So, like the offers I was getting was like a Sony Michel for Melvin Gordon, which for me, that wasn't going to cut it. I mean, I would rather hold Gordon and probably lose than make that deal. So it was either go backwards by quite a bit or overpay for, a similar or higher end asset. So I decided to go that way, and I gave up Melvin Gordon, James Conner, and Phillip Rivers for Christian McCaffrey, Gus Edwards, and Kirk Cousins. And this is a points per carry Superflex league. So on the surface, I paid a lot, but at the same time, I needed a replacement, and I didn't want that replacement to go from Melvin Gordon territory to like a Sony Michel.
You got good players back. I think that's a pretty solid return for what people are getting raked over coals for. So,
sure.
Especially being super flex, I think that saves you.
Well, that was the thing. I thought Cousins and Rivers are probably going to have similar stats throughout this season, but I do get the age upgrade for Cousins. So
exactly, you'll have him for much longer. He's locked into that Vikings offense for at least the next 2 seasons, probably more. And I mean, he has the best receiver core that you could hope for in that deal. So, definitely.
And we'll see with Gus Edwards. I mean, Kenneth Dixon, the God, is back.
And then I traded Gus Edwards and Jake Kumaro for Spencer Ware. So, I mean, a little bit disappointed so far. But again, I'm not a big Gus believer, so I made that.
He got a
move too.
touchdown. I mean, what more do you want from him than a touchdown, honestly?
He's just not very impressive.
2 of them?
5 touchdowns? All of the touchdowns.
But Svoboda, he traded Robert Woods for Spencer Ware straight up
Oh,
wow.
in a points per carry. Matt
Still-
Price's red list.
I mean, is it like 3 points per carry? I get it done.
That's the
wish
one
I had
where
a
I
gift
was
to
like,
describe this.
that was the only trade that I've seen so far that was like kind of a shocker.
Yeah, haven't seen every trade that I've seen really has just come out of my leagues, and they've all seen very fair. Haven't seen anyone do anything stupid yet. I mean, it's a matter of time because technically the playoffs haven't started yet, so I'm ready to start making fun of people.
But I do play in a lot of leagues that do have trade deadlines, and I've only been playing Dynasty. This is my 4th season, so I'm not, I haven't been doing it for that long, but I kind of have been on that side where I think trade deadlines are a good thing. And I do play in a couple leagues that don't have them, and I think it is interesting that people just sell the farm. And I feel like, and I'm not very experienced in those leagues, but I have this feeling that a lot of the times that just bites them in the ass really bad.
It does. Yeah.
Because on paper it makes a lot of sense. But and I've heard other people talk about it in other podcasts. A lot of times when you make those trades, your winning percentage increase is very minimal, even if it seems like it's big on paper.
Yeah, that's a JJ podcast.
Yeah.
Where you raise your percentage of winning by about 2%, but the amount you spend to go from
Right.
Some mid wide receiver to a high wide receiver to, you're just losing in the end.
Right.
Yeah, it's not about wins. It's about wins above replacement. And I mean, honestly, if you see 2 guys that are very similar in their current production levels, you're really not doing much other than just making yourself feel better about it. And I feel like that's where the trades actually get done. It's less about actually seeing what's on paper or what's on your team. It's more about, I feel better about this particular group of players.
I mean, that is kind of my brand, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Looking good on paper.
Just making yourself feel better by trading things.
Oh, I thought you meant like looking good on toilet paper.
Mike, I was going for that.
Stole it. Little interesting thing, and I don't even know if I read it right in the chat, but I thought it was really interesting. I should probably read it.
Don't look at you looking at the chat.
I'm just gonna ignore.
Okay, Jake.
Have you people that have played in leagues that have no trade deadlines? Have you seen anybody? And I want to hear your thoughts on this. If this is maybe even collusion, is someone like trading with a team because they don't want to see another team win?
That is the definition of collusion.
I mean,
does it make their team better though?
No, but if
it's a fair trade, then whatever.
But if I guarantee it happens.
Oh well, yeah, definitely.
Like in leagues where if there's a defined leader in the clubhouse of who's going to take the championship home, everybody hates that person, so they don't want to see that person win. So I could see that happening where, if a trade's close, they said, oh well, if it's going to help me beat that person, I could see that happening.
I mean, they won 3 ships. They wish they had your dynasty.
Facts. But then the question becomes, and that's a good point, Jake, because in 2 of my leagues, at least, that person's you that everyone hates.
I feel the hate too.
Yeah,
Run through you.
Yeah. He's 12-0 in one league, and I think in the other league 11-1, 12-1, something like that. Just absurd. He's literally 1 loss between 2 leagues. Anyway, with that being said, when it comes to that, do you guys feel like? Let me ask this. This will be a better way to put it. If it does make the other team better, even though by definition, like you were saying, Russ, that's collusion. If it makes both teams better, is it okay?
Yeah, I mean that's the point of a trade, is a trade that makes both teams better. So
I'm not saying straight blatant collusion. I'm just saying like Mike, like in that league we play in, I could see that being the case. Like if someone has a good shot at taking me down And if the trade deadline wasn't there, I could see someone being like, yeah, I don't mind flipping this veteran for probably less than I would, just so he'd have a better chance of taking down somebody else.
This is why you need to be in John Bosch type leagues, or even, because Red List is the rollover auction, right?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not rollover. No,
Okay.
it's not a bank
Pigs
roll.
is though, right?
Pigs
Yeah.
is yeah.
rollover. Okay, so yeah, John Bosch style, whatever, rollover auction, and with the what is it, non-proxy? So that's where you let all your anger out at everyone that you hate is in those auctions. Because I swear, you see people's true colors when those auctions start and finish, man. But it gets all of it's out. You're like absolved of your fantasy football sins of sorts, and there's no hate, no collusion when the season comes, or as much. I think John Bosch like always hates what Mark Hill. Shout out to Bosch and Mark and the bar tab. You're going down, Gunth.
I mean, if you have more than 10 wins, though, you deserve all of the hate that you're receiving, honestly. I mean, at that point, everyone else in the league, their sole purpose in life is just take you down.
Thank you for validating the hate. I appreciate that, Eitan. Thank you.
Of course.
Why you hate me so much, J Mike?
Well, I don't hate you at all. I love you.
He doesn't have your dynasty.
You wish you had my all up on my dynasty is what you are right now, J Mike.
Hey, breaks there, young fella. Pump the brakes.
Whoa, swerve.
Yeah. One of the other things I wanted to get to, well, I feel like we've got a lot of stuff that we can get to and plenty of time, which is great too. Earlier in the chat, somebody brought up, I'm trying to go back and find it real quick.
Can you trust anyone in that chat, J Mike? I don't know.
At least a couple.
All right.
At least. Was Mike McCarthy really the problem in Green Bay?
Yep.
Yes, 100% he was the problem in Green Bay. And he was the problem in Green Bay for a few reasons. First and foremost, you have one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the NFL, even though he was injured for the first part of the season. And he makes no attempt to run any bootlegs, any types of things to the edges that'll actually give Aaron Rodgers a better shot at completing a pass. He obviously doesn't run probably one of his best players in Aaron Jones enough, as that's well publicized. But on top of that, I mean, it seemed like there was some type of friction between both himself and Aaron Rodgers. And as far as I know, he wasn't signed to a $160 million extension. So I feel like you have to, at a certain point, understand who really wears the pants on a team, and on that team, Aaron Rodgers certainly does. And if you're not willing to really get with the program, all you're doing is just creating tension that's just to the detriment of that team.
Was that on your show sheet? You were super ready with that. Like, it felt like.
Oh shit! I forgot that you made one. Hey,
I feel so bad
did we
for
ever
Eitan.
tell you that that we do that to people sometimes, that we just like
No, we didn't even
tell 'em-
explain it to him.
No.
Okay, so were we never gonna do that?
I'm
I'm sorry to cut off the story, but we need to at least establish that. First of all, thank you for doing that and taking the time to do it. But much like Renshaw took advantage of our innocent J Mike over here, there is no show, absolutely no show sheet, rhyme or reason to this show.
I've seen enough open bars to get it. Honestly, I'm going to use it for my podcast tomorrow, so I'm all good.
There you go. We'll hit some points if we need to. Carry on to whatever we were talking about. That needed to be said.
This is well, and let me ask one more thing before we leave this Green Bay, the Green Bay thing. As far as talent around Aaron Rodgers, do we feel like it's sufficient enough for him and that offense to be a more productive and consistent unit than they've been? Yes or no?
That's what I was going to add to that, is that, yeah, McCarthy he's stuck in his ways, and they need to move on from that, or he needs to adapt or whatever, and it didn't happen. But I also think that they've, just teams take time to develop, and they have been seeming to go, kind of offensive line and defensive centric over the past few years in their draft. Like they're always just getting these scraps of wide receivers at the end, which is kind of what Aaron Rodgers needs. Jordy deuced out, a little too old. Cobb's injured too much. Devontae Adams is the dude, but like, can we rely on MVS? No. ESB? No. Jamon Moore? No. Any of the last few that they've drafted, Tymo turned to RB and now he's gone. Trevor Davis, Geronimo Allison, all these guys, these like third, fourth, fifth, whatever round wide receivers, just they're trying to like spike one and it just never works. And so maybe there's something behind with ownership, and I'm sure Mike McCarthy's behind the draft process as well, but I don't know. I think that they certainly could have made a leap somewhere for Rodgers, even in free agency too. Like, why not go scoop Dez or I don't know, something.
Well, they finally got rid of Ted Thompson, which was a good move this last offseason.
Yeah.
But for me, if you're going to clean house, you get rid of Ted Thompson, you get rid of Mike McCarthy, and you start anew with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, keeping Mike McCarthy there and getting rid of Ted Thompson and probably giving Mike McCarthy more power was not the right play there.
And the defense isn't that bad, though. I mean, they're decent. It's not amazing by any means, but it's, middle of the road.
It's way better than it was last year.
Yeah, I love the secondary guys they drafted this year.
Yeah, Josh Jackson, Jair Alexander.
Yeah.
And a big defensive draft this year, so they'll probably improve there. But, the wide receiver, I would imagine, I don't know. Do y'all think they would draft, because we have this stacked wide receiver class, allegedly. Do you think that they go there in like first or second round? Because that's pretty rare, it seems, actually, for the Packers to do. I mean, Devontae Adams was what, third round draft pick?
Second. And I think he was late second.
Was he a second, late second? Okay.
But with and obviously we're not in the business of trying to, guess how all this will shake out. But obviously Devontae Adams
mock draft right now.
Right now, Devontae Adams is going to be there. Randall Cobb likely will not be there. Everyone and their mom loves Jake Kumaro. They just took 3 guys in the draft this past year. It would be really difficult for me to envision them taking anybody early at wide receiver, because I feel like that's a ton of capital, especially, and that's not even counting MVS, right?
Yeah, but none of it is worthwhile.
Yeah, but they were fourth,
fifth, sixth, seventh round draft picks. I mean, that's.
But I mean, that's why you pay.
So how many? Right. But I guess my question is, how much capital and price are you willing to put into one position? That's my point. So they just did this in this draft. Are you going to go high value in this draft too? Like, how much can you pump into?
I think it might be proving that they finally need to put some capital in that position. And I think it used to be, Tom Brady did so much with nobody at wide receiver, but I think the league has changed, with the play calling, the amount of passing going out there. I mean, wide receiver, playmakers that catch the ball are arguably the 5th most important position on the football field. And I don't think they used to be looked that way. So I think you have a good quarterback, whether you have a rookie quarterback, whether you have a veteran quarterback, you need to have him have some weapons. And we saw Aaron Rodgers, his whole career, stacked with weapons, with Jordy Nelson, with Donald Driver, with Greg Jennings, with Devontae Adams. I mean, Devontae Adams was like the 4th option for a while there. And then all of a sudden they have nobody there. And I'm a huge Randall Cobb fan, but he can't stay healthy. He doesn't look like the same player. So I think they need to, whether it's through free agency or through the draft, they do need to invest actual capital and not, these shots at the end of the draft.
Yeah, but if you look at the shots that they actually took this particular season, MVS, ES, Equinemius St. Brown, it's almost as hard as my name. Wow. These guys, they're talented, at least in terms of physical talent. These guys are in the 90th or better percentile when it comes to their speed scores. They're very, very agile guys. We've seen some issues with actually squeezing the football, but I think The only issue with the guys that they actually brought in this year is that they're inexperienced and that they don't have any chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. I really think that if they're going to be spending draft capital, and if you're really looking to maximize your draft capital in this draft, you're looking at the defensive line just because of all the great defensive line prospects in this particular draft. And if you actually get a pass rush with Green Bay, if you actually get a defense that can cause some fear for opposing offenses, then you're in a situation where you have a guy that is going to win you games in Aaron Rodgers, because if he has the ability to not have to score 45 to win a football game, I mean, how often is he really not going to get to the 30, 35 points he'll need to win game in, game out? So I think they're best served just further improving that defense. They've already improved the secondary, as you guys have mentioned. I think they really just need to focus on that front seven and replacing some of their older veterans like a Clay Matthews and whatnot, and just becoming a dominant defensive team. I'd really like to see a guy like Chris Richard become head coach in Green Bay and actually give them a defensive identity, and just let Aaron Rodgers and whoever that offensive coordinator is, I think Joe Philbin, who might be retained as offensive coordinator, kind of run the offensive show from there. I think they have the requisite talent. They need to do it.
They've drafted so many front seven players, though, over the last decade. I mean, that's all they do is draft D tackles and 3 techniques and soon to be pass rushers. That's what they've done. And they've missed a lot, and they do have a new GM there. A lot. But I agree, they need a pass rushing presence on that football field, but they have taken a lot of shots there and they've missed. And they haven't taken many shots at the wide receiver position to even possibly miss. And I agree. I like MVS. I like ESB. But are they going to be anything more than a wide receiver 3 or 4 in the league? I have my doubts about that. And I think there's reasons why they probably fell in the draft. There's a lot of talk about ESB not wanting to stretch and not really caring about football. I think that goes a long ways when you're playing with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's, prepares more than anybody probably in the league. But
what's easier position to transition in free agency, wide receiver or pass rusher?
Pass rusher. You're not going to find a pass rusher in free agency.
Yeah, you can if you're willing to pay him.
And I think there lies the thing. So I think Clay Matthews comes off the books this year for them, which will be interesting. I don't know about Nick Perry. I don't know. I just don't know. I feel like that's a really interesting question that'll have to get answered. And this might be a really good time to take your dart throw shots in your trades, at least where you can still trade in on these Green Bay pass catchers, because all of them probably are not, except for MVS, who got the low value spike. All of them are probably incredibly cheap right now. Would you guys say incredibly cheap buys that people may just want to part with, and you might end up with gold or a lump of coal? Who knows?
But it is cheap, J-Mo. You have a point that.
Yeah, they're throwing guys.
I just feel like it's worth a shot.
Just drop that guy. Drop in MVS. Drop in ESB, and we'll call it a deal.
But I'd still might even just wait until after the draft to figure that out, because even after the fact, there's still, and they don't draft a wide receiver, let's say, until 5th, 6th round like they always do. Then those three guys there, and maybe their price spikes a little bit, but there's no clear number 2 guy that they favor at this point. I don't think we talked about this last week, I think, but.
Well, Geronimo Allison is a restricted free agent.
Geronimo, we didn't even bring him up. Dang.
Yeah, he's a restricted free agent next season.
I said that.
They have the ability to actually match whatever contract that he receives in free agency, so he might still be around. So they might still have a veteran, quote unquote, veteran presence.
And he was solid too, but I liked him. I think he was coming out of Illinois, wasn't it? Or Syracuse. I always get Syracuse and Illinois confused because that's
the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Their uniforms are exactly the same. I think he was Illinois. I liked him coming out, but I still think he's a replacement level talent.
Yeah,
definitely.
Fair.
Slow your roll.
So maybe a difference maker on the opposite side of Devontae Adams will be helpful, perhaps. People were throwing out Noah Fant
Ooh. Yeah, but they always suck at tight ends.
But-
I was about to say, so they could waste, one of the best tight end prospects.
And a lot of people have said, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not the team. It's not what they've done in the past with certain positions. It's probably true, but, like, Green Bay, that's where tight ends go to die. We were excited about Martellus Bennett. We were excited about Jimmy Graham. I mean, I want Noah Fant in Arizona. That's where I want Noah Fant.
Ooh, no RSJ love.
Dallas.
Replacement. I mean, he's decent, but Josh Rosen loves tight ends. I mean, if he got a true playmaker like Noah Fant, I'd be thrilled about that.
Who and this is a great question in the chat from Aaron. What's up, Aaron? He says, who gets drafted first? One of the running backs in this class or Noah Fant?
Noah Fant. He
Easily.
absolutely should.
Fant might go like top 15 or something.
Yeah, I don't think there's running back going in the first round.
Really?
Ooh.
Unless be surprised.
I didn't realize that was
it
like
could
a
be
mic drop
late.
moment.
It could be late. I mean, the Seahawks are probably looking for a running back.
Oh, come on, man. See the stupid cord.
Sweet.
I'm just trying to break your computer, Russ. That's it.
You almost broke my eardrums.
There's a couple guys that might be worthy of that first round selection, though, at least in dynasty drafts. I mean,
dynasty draft, sure, but not in the NFL draft.
Yeah, not in the NFL draft. Noah Fant's definitely going to go in the first round. I don't see somebody going over him in the actual draft.
Because someone stupid like the Jaguars is going to end up taking Fant at however early.
You know what?
Man, if they do.
What?
That's enough. That's enough besmirching Jacksonville. We don't need that right
two
now.
in the last like 2 or 3 minutes, pal.
Yeah, I mean, relax.
We know where you belong.
3 wins on the season. There's no need for you to rub it in right now, Russ. It's rude.
Didn't we just beat the Colts like 6-0, right?
Oh, sorry, 4 wins.
That was the oddest. The Colts have been scoring like 35 points a game, and then all of a sudden.
The Jekyll and Hyde Jaguars defense.
My one league with kickers, I have Adam Vinatieri, and he gets me a bagel.
That's sad.
Yeah, because they scored 0 points.
Yes, that's how that works. Thank you.
Okay.
I was going to Google it to find out why, but thank you.
You want to try some long division now, or you feel?
Hold on, let me get my phone out. Yeah,
it's all coming full circle right
now. Let's go back to. Can we go to San Francisco for a second? Because I feel like this is really interesting in terms of what we're about to see. Or what we at least have seen so far. So this season, running backs that we have seen for the 49ers who have been fantasy relevant. Raheem Mostert was relevant for a brief second. We saw Matt Breida, obviously. We also saw Alf Morris for a cup of coffee. We saw Jeff Wilson this last week. Am I missing anyone else? Okay, not pictured in the yearbook picture.
Kyle Juszczyk.
Jerick McKinnon. Kyle Juszczyk, yes. So we've seen all these guys be fantasy relevant. So here's my question. Obviously, Shanahan continues to show us that running backs in his offense are productive. All the way from Devonta Freeman, whom I love as a brother.
Heart's broken.
All the way yeah, man. We don't even need to go down that path. But he's awesome. Sad he's hurt. All the way now to Jeff Wilson. Is it safe to say, do you try to get any of these guys for next season, or are we banking on Jerick McKinnon? And on top of that, I also want to talk about your boy Jake, who I know is not really your boy, Dante Pettis, who finally, now that everybody's dead in San Francisco except for Richie James fumbling muffin punts everywhere, Jake. Dante Pettis also someone who wanted to show out this week. So running backs in San Francisco and Dante Pettis, go.
I want to buy Matt Breida because I think when everyone remembers that Jerick McKinnon's coming back, it'll drop Breida's price. And Shanahan already said he's going to use both of them. And Breida, I mean, has shown that he's good and will play through injury and is still good even though he's injured. McKinnon gets nicked very easily and ends up finding the sidelines a lot. So I think, I mean, I'm a I have a bunch of shares in McKinnon already, so I'm not going to go buy some more. But I think I will start investing in Breda once the offseason hits.
So what do you think you're gonna have to pay for Breida? Second?
Yeah, I was about to say, once the draft is around, I'm sure you could throw a second and get Matt Breda. And when you're at the back of the second at a not very deep draft, I mean, that's pretty
Doesn't
easy.
it feel like Breida could just be nothing
Yes.
too next year? Like,
Yes.
as good as he looked this year, it just feels like he could be a 0 next year too.
I mean, I love Jet, but he's no workhorse. I mean,
No,
he's a little guy.
He's
Yeah,
definitely
that's what I was
not.
saying.
But
He could be nothing.
who's to say they don't bring in another running back?
Yeah.
Salary cap?
Well, they have
Remember
all
that-
the money in the world. Currently.
Yeah,
they-
And that's
that,
the thing.
right.
Well, they better start spending some of that at wide receiver.
They gave it all to Pierre Garçon for 1 year.
And then didn't use him.
Right.
They had no one
poor
to throw him
Pierre.
the ball, though. Really?
Gosh.
How dare you besmirch Nick Mullins?
Oh, come on now.
I think that's one of the more interesting things. What happens if Jimmy G just runs out of bounds instead of trying to truck someone on the sidelines? How different? How much more I think that we value everyone in San Francisco just moving forward. Like how we get, I think we get a better idea as to what everybody looks like, which is interesting to me. But Dante Pettis, let's talk about him for a second because he's been like the afterthought in terms of the rookies from this year. He and James Washington, I feel like, are just kind of at the back of the line right now. Maybe you can even push Royce Freeman in that discussion as well as those guys who were highly touted by a lot of folks, but now not really looking at much. The last couple of weeks, we see Dante Pettis showing up. I think I saw it was 13 catches, 20 targets in the last 3 games, 200-something yards, I think 3 touchdowns. Are we starting to get on the Pettis train? Is it someone that you think is worth going out and trying to acquire?
Man, I didn't know he was doing that well. I might have to now.
I mean, I think it all depends on price. I mean, I was a guy that was probably a little bit lower on Pettis than maybe the consensus was. Phenomenal route runner. But I just think he's going to be a little bit more of a complementary piece. And like you said, I think they bring in more weapons this offseason. So, and you have Kittle there. Kittle is going to be their target. Kittle is for real, a top 5 dynasty tight end. He'll probably have some boom weeks, it's not a guy that I would pay more than like mid to late second for, probably where you got him last year.
Mm-hmm. Samesies.
I think you just have to contextualize performances when you start to get to those offenses that don't have anyone else, and that's kind of where you're at right now. I mean, it's Kittle and nobody really, in San Francisco. So if he's getting all these targets, is he going to see that next year when they draft a receiver or when there's a quarterback that's competent? I think you have to understand that you might be seeing a little bit of fool's gold. Not to besmirch the name of Dante Pettis, because I do think he will be a good receiver, but as everyone was saying, I definitely think that he's going to be a complementary piece down the line.
He just
we
feels
have the
like
record for the word besmirched in a podcast, by the way.
He just feels like so much of a better NFL player than he is probably going to be a fantasy asset to me.
Was anybody else all over the Trent Taylor train coming into the season? Or was that
oh
just
man,
me?
don't even. Oh god,
I wasn't.
I had so much Trent Taylor.
I know.
So much Trent Taylor, and it's all gone.
I was
just
pivoting
burned
to
it.
Richie James for free, but
I think they're a team that drafts a wide receiver
they have to be. They
They
have
have
to
to
be.
within the first 2 or 3 rounds.
Well, I mean,
Who
they
knows?
have the first pick as of now. I can't imagine they waste that on a wide receiver.
I mean, Allen Robinson
Definitely
was in a lot of
defense.
discussions.
They like to
about
draft
going
defense,
to San
but-
Francisco.
Yeah, I was all about that.
That's true. I think many were. Whole lot of people were. With that being said, let's ask this: Is Dante Pettis? Jake, you're in a position, like I said, doing a couple undefeated teams or 1-loss teams. Would you give up 112 for Dante Pettis
No,
in this draft?
no, because I mean, on those rosters, he's not gonna start for me this year, and I think there's too much uncertainty going forward. So I wouldn't, like I said, mid to late second. I like that price. I think that's worth a shot in the dark because usually mid to late seconds don't hit, and at least he's produced on the field. But no, I wouldn't give up 112. I'd go
112
for
is
somebody
basically
else.
Noah Fant.
I think no offense might be
He's-
a mid first.
Really?
Mid first. He's
Yes.
that good, man. I mean,
The hype train behind
his
that guy right
testing
now, Aton.
is-
Hype train's
I
crazy.
mean, he's
no, you guys are
he's Gronk 2.0.
No, he's ridiculous. Don't take what I'm saying as saying that he's not a great player. It's weird to see a tight end go that high.
And I hadn't shown much love to the chat tonight. Shout out to the chat, everybody who's joining us. Phobita was in here early on, as he usually is, hollering us out and hollering at us when we're late. Gabe, he stays on us about that. Jesse Reed's in the building. What up? Spoonie's in the building with us. Aaron B was cracking. Renshaw's been in the building with us. CA Dynasty Owners Manual himself, 1/2. Chris Allen's in the building. Stepney, what up, Stepney? Also, Andrew Frechette, come on. Fantasy Authority in the building. What's up,
My
Andrew?
dude.
Andrew said something I want to get to with you guys because I feel like it's interesting. But Atom, before we do that, something really interesting that you said, kind of like how we watched. And Jake, I'm sorry about this, what I'm about to say. Like we saw last year with a guy that I think a lot of us liked a lot. I know Jake loved this guy, Evan Ingram. Last year, we watched him with OBJ not on the field be someone who garnered a ton of targets, dropped a ton of passes, but was super productive, right? Similar to what I feel like is happening right now with Kittle, except I'd like to think that it's sustainable with Kittle. But what happens when there's more production, or better talent around him? That can be really interesting to keep an eye on because we thirst for a tight end to step up and be something, right? Like it's especially in tight end premium leagues, like it's really hard to come by production at this point. So, Aton, I think that was really, really astute point by you there. Is it fool's gold? I don't know. Kittle's good. I think we all agree that Kittle's really good, but will that continue? I guess we'll see. But Andrew said something I want to get to. Andrew said, crap, I lost it. Also, Gabe, Butcher came in too, so we need to get to that at some point. I can't find one.
All right, then I'll just say real quick, it's not like OBJ is showing up in San Francisco, so I don't think they're going to have that much of a target hog to steal much away from Kittle. So I think he's much safer than Ingram was.
Exactly. And then, just to further that point, they're different types of players. Evan Ingram is a move tight end. He's a guy that you put in the slot if you really want to get the best out of him, whereas Kittle is a guy that you can put on the end of the line. So he can really play in all situations. He can have a much higher snap share than guys like Evan Ingram. So I think that you'll see him involved in the offense in the way that Zach Ertz is involved in Philadelphia, just because, I mean, he can really do it all for that team. He's essentially that team's wide receiver one, regardless of who they draft, unless they get lucky and happen to get a good guy in free agency. But I don't even know who's in free agency at the wide receiver position for next season. I guess I have to look on my wide receiver chart. So I'll get back to that later.
Yeah, Mr. Giant spreadsheet of opportunity and all of that stuff that you said on the Dynasty Owner's Manual that were too big of words for me to remember. You should have this stuff down.
I should just memorize it all. Screw these spreadsheets. Yeah.
What's the point of it if you don't?
I keep forgetting to pull up your show sheet. We're gonna wreak havoc on that.
Do it.
I gotta see, but I
can't find what he said.
It is not a very sexy list of free agents here.
Oh man, you're faster than I am.
Larry Fitz, Randall Cobb, Dante
I was looking at
Moncrief,
those wide receivers too, there, Jake. Yeah, bring
Golden
them up.
Tate, John Brown, Curse,
Golden Tate,
Patterson.
guys.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Hogan, Cole Beasley, Inunwa, Adam Humphries, Tyrell Williams,
And Noon was getting signed. Tyrell, I
Gazelle.
think, could be
Devin
interesting.
Funchess.
Gazelle.
Yeah.
I'm all about Gazelle.
I mean, don't you think that
I mean,
like
none
there
of
were
those guys are
several
gonna
like
be
slot
wide receiver
guys
one.
there? You know, I mean, Cobb's going to be gone from Green Bay likely, but like, what? I don't think Fitz is coming back, but maybe he'd come back to a contending team like the Packers. I don't know if we're even talking about them anymore, the 49ers, but Golden Tate could land there. Maybe John Brown kind of do to stretch the field. They see him to not really have a guy like that. Anunwa would be interesting to me, and Tyrell Williams.
Interesting, but not like
fantasy relevant necessarily. No, just like good for the team, I guess. But
yeah, you're still drafting wide receiver at the beginning of the second, and then going and grabbing Golden Tate.
Yeah.
Golden Tate's the name in that mix, and
Which is
for sure.
He's over 30 years, right? He's 30 years
He's
old.
30
He's going to
right
be
now.
31 next year, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And screw that guy for being good after he left the Seahawks.
I mean,
Just
isn't
like
every wide
Jermaine
receiver good after the
Just like
Seahawks?
Jermaine Kearse and well, let's go to other positions: Spencer Ware and Alex Collins, and
No saltiness detected.
only my tears, only in my tears.
Shower cries. Many of those this season. The thing that Andrew brought up earlier that I find interesting in terms of when do we believe what teams tell us about what like the moves they make in terms of how they feel about players? Like they did trade up for Pettis, and that was something for whatever reason I couldn't find it in the chat. And so good looking out, Andrew, for messaging me. They did move up, so I just find it interesting that he's coming on late, which is interesting to see. He's getting, like I said, 20 targets in 3 games. Like I don't think that's any small feat, even though Nick Mullins, I think, just threw the ball 40-some, 50-some times against Seattle. But still, like he's getting work. So I find him incredibly interesting to buy right now at the end of the year.
Well, wasn't he Waldman's number 1 wide receiver in the class?
Yes, it's Waldman's guy.
Brad Kelly. Yeah. Brad Kelly too.
Brad Kelly, yeah.
So I mean, someone likes him. So
yeah, it's not like Matt Waldman knows what he's talking about either.
Oh yeah, that guy's a total.
I just Googled him. I didn't actually know who he was or anything.
Was this Matt? That's 2 Matt Waldman references to 2 weeks back to back. That's funny.
Yeah, but last week was talking about him because he was
Waldman.
old.
That's true. That was a fact.
We're at least talking about him as a talent evaluator at this point.
Former
that
guest
was a little
of the
bit of
Upper
shade.
Bar.
Yeah, he's good people. He's good people. The Renshaw, I'm coming back to you, sir. No, you know what?
You sure?
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Gabe. Can we go, Eitan? Can we hit on your show sheet a little bit? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I was just looking at it. I found it. It's real.
It exists.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about Cooper Kupp ever again, so we're not doing that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave now. Bye, guys.
Been fun, man.
Thanks for joining us, Eitan.
I was about to say, how far was he going to take that? He was about to get up and walk away.
Close the laptop, just like.
I like the second year breakout a little bit because I kind of feel like this has been like a surprising bummer of a year. Like there's some guys that have, kind of hit their stride or like were really surprising, like Lindsey, where they were just like really deep in drafts, but guys that we really expected to just take over early did not. I like the second year breakout for 2019. That is what I want to talk about, J Mike.
So it is spoken, so it shall be.
Let's go, Rojo.
Oh, come on. You know I'm here for that. Till the wheels fall off, man. Till the wheels fall off.
I mean, Rashad Penny.
I know.
I think Rashad Penny will be a
it seems
thing.
like so. The thing is that you could say whatever player you want because there's just so many that kind of fluke this year, and Rashad Penny being one for sure. Rojo,
That wasn't even his fault, though. I don't even know if it was Rojo's fault either. Neither of those coaches just felt like playing them.
It was Rojo's fault. Might not have been Penny's
I was trying to
fault.
help. I got nothing. Yeah, no, he's not great. And Penny shouldn't have been drafted in the first, but you put a first price tag on him, you go play that guy. Though I love Chris Carson, so I don't.
I'm curious about your Gallup take there, Eitan.
Are you?
Yeah.
Right. Let's get into it.
I like him a lot, actually. I am just concerned that there's not enough, food at the table for young Gallup to eat alongside Amari.
I think there is more than enough. And I think there's more than enough because there's no tight end of consequence in that offense. We've seen Zeke start to become a little bit more of a all-purpose back this season, starting to become a little bit more of a pass catcher. But outside of him and Amari, I mean, who else are you going to throw the ball to? And you can say what you want about Dak Prescott not necessarily being a quarterback that really can get the best out of his receivers. But, I mean, I think we've seen from just the small sample size that we have from Michael Gallup so far that he doesn't necessarily need a steady target rate to be effective. I mean, this is a guy that he isn't necessarily a burner by any means, but he's a big play guy. And if you can just get, a touchdown here and there, I think we might be looking at the next type of Tyler Lockett. Amari Cooper is best used as an intermediary receiver and as a guy that is quick twitch and really able to create separation early. I think Michael Gallup can be used down the field. And as long as they don't get another target in that offense, I mean, eventually they're going to have to start utilizing him. And I think we've already seen the beginning of that this season.
Yeah, like the game right before they brought in Amari Cooper.
I would just
yeah,
say,
but since he's been here too,
I would just say until Jason Garrett leaves that team, I have no faith that there's going to be a high volume pass attack. Like Amari Cooper, there might be enough for him, and I think he's done well, and I think he's good enough to do well. But even that, his ceiling is somewhat capped compared to where he could have landed. And a secondary Zeke, Cooper, does Dak or does that offense is that offense capable of having somebody else that's going to be more than a wide receiver 4 in fantasy? I'm not so sure.
2 top 24s. I mean, that's just kind of where I see fantasy relevance, I guess, for wide receivers besides the, stints that we all pick up off waiver wires. But, you don't you want consistency, I guess. And I don't know if I'm not a believer that Dak can do that. And piggybacking on you, Jake, especially because of the Garrett thing, let Dak breathe a little bit. And I don't think that's happening with him there.
So what would you pay for
That's
Gallup
exactly what I
right
was going to ask.
Just rookie picks wise?
Me personally, I'd probably go with a late second. I'd give you a late second for Michael Gallup.
Yeah,
You just drafted at the end of the first, latest beginning of the second. No one's doing that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like after a year of non-producing,
I said nobody is doing that.
Try again, Aton.
Apparently, that's just not going to fly anymore.
That was great, Russ. I think a guy that's right around his ADP is Christian Kirk, and that's a guy that I was super. Well, I mean, what's the timetable for a return on that? I mean, you'd have to imagine he's going to be okay, ready to go for the start of next season.
What was it? A foot thing?
Broken foot, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a guy that's flashed that I really like. Go ahead.
They're far apart right now in ADP, in November ADP.
Are they?
Yeah, for DLF. For DLF, when I pull up rookies, Christian Kirk is at 67, and Gallup is down at 124.
That's very rough.
Wow.
You were wrong, Jake.
Wow, I was definitely
no. I think that you're making a good point. I'm just saying that I'm saying right now they're not close.
No, I was just looking at rookie ADP, but I think I may have not been on the most recent month there. Why is that not even allowing me to?
Transitioning into that quick Kirk question, because Berg from Twitter.
I was about to bring that up.
He always gets me with the Twitter question. Yeah, well, when you tweeted at him, it reminded me. So thank you. He says, with Kirk out, do you give Larry Fitz any bump or same old wit him?
I said if I'm competing, I'm buying.
Yeah, well, how about a new take, Russ? Because you tweeted that. Give something fresh and new for the audience.
These guys are probably more professional than me and are not looking at Twitter while they're on the podcast. I have just been so mistreated this entire time that I'm like probably about 70% in right now.
What are you talking about? What?
You're completely 100%
You just
out.
disrespected Aton really bad, so I don't even want to hear about it.
in my voice. I said nobody.
I said.
I mean, honestly, I wrote a show sheet, so I feel like it was going to happen anyway. So
I mean, this was a 4-person show sheet. I don't know what happened.
Aaron just said in the chat, put Gallup in this draft, and he's what, 108? I don't see that at all.
Ooh.
208.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't know who I would want out of the top 8 pieces in this draft. I mean,
Yeah, but you want all of them before Gallup.
I don't know. I don't know.
I do. I can't even name any people.
We know that they do.
They are. I want them. I know that. Can another name on the show sheet, because it fascinates me. Oh, this is fun. Renshaw said this, and we'll jump into what I want to talk about on your show sheet, which makes me sad. Noah Fant or Michael Gallup?
No fun.
Fant.
No fun.
Yeah, it's not close.
It doesn't even matter where he goes at that point.
So it doesn't matter. Okay, fair enough.
Remember when we were buying Michael Gallup a second ago?
There's so many wide receivers coming in this class. I mean, there's a lot to see what's going to play out. But when you have like a guy like CeeDee Lamb and Hakeem Butler is like the 10th ranked wide receiver, I mean, that's pretty impressive stuff right there.
CeeDee Lamb. Woo.
That's my boy right there.
I think he might, if Fitz is gone, one of those guys might bump in and bump down Kirk, honestly. Like there's a lot. I don't know. I think people are going to be upset. It can be like those running backs where we were all surprised where they all landed, I think. And these expectations for wide receivers, we think we might know like needs of teams like the 49ers or whatever. And then they just go defense the first 5 rounds. and
then the Chargers take Mike Williams at 7 overall for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Harry ends up on like the Giants or something,
They made up for it this year, though.
Indeed.
Who?
The Chargers.
Oh, yeah, Derwin's ball.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, in the draft.
What?
I thought you meant with Mike
Yeah.
Williams. I'm like, it's not like they're really using him or anything.
I mean,
Oh,
Mike
Derwin.
Williams has his
He's
second
all right.
most touchdowns in the league at the wide receiver position. I mean, he hasn't been
doing
nothing.
what you're expecting him to do.
I would say after his rookie season, you're pretty happy with just at least seeing this year.
Well, when they get,
Yeah, but I mean, does he have like all of like 20 catches on the season?
Yeah, I was
like,
about to say he ain't throwing to the ball, and they're getting a tight end back, so they won't need him to play tight end.
Exactly. Hunter Henry.
That's money, Jake, because I think you're exactly right. You're happy with what you're seeing because you haven't been able to necessarily trust him enough to put him into your lineups consistently, but you're at least happy with the fact that he's productive in the little amount of targets that he's getting.
0 last year, and yeah, he was hurt, but I mean, he's basically a rookie wide receiver this year. I mean, I think that's pretty good.
No,
God,
2014
there's so many
happened.
teams
We
that
can't go
need
back.
wide receivers.
Now, what would you pay for Mike Williams in rookie picks?
Late first.
Early second.
Early second.
I wouldn't pay anything more than a late second.
Wow.
Wow,
I don't like the talent.
Me.
I think he's an ideal situation.
A 15% hit rate.
Who said that?
He's in an ideal situation because Hunter Henry, like we just mentioned, isn't back this season. That's not factoring into the targets that he may not even get next season. Yeah, you won't have Tyrell Williams, but I mean, you still have Melvin Gordon that they're throwing the ball to. You're still going to have Austin Eckler that you're going to throw the ball to, and then of course you're going to pepper Keenan Allen with targets. Where does he really get the opportunity to shine?
Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
See all the sunshine out there? Anytime, come on.
I mean, you still have Philip Rivers at the quarterback position. I mean, I think if you're the third option in the passing game on a high-powered offense, that's not a bad position to be in.
Yeah, I think they'll start working him more into the regular wide receiver 2-esque role once Tyrell's gone. I mean, I think he'll get more wide receiver work than he pretty much is just a tight end right now.
Fair enough. Gabe, we need to get to what Matt said in the chat about wanting to clarify something. I really wanted to slide him the link to come in and say his piece, but I didn't want to do that because I thought he might just come in and just start talking real reckless towards you. And I don't want you to have to. No, 3 Butcher.
Oh.
I got your back, man. I'll fight somebody.
Yeah.
He says in the chat, he says, J Mike, I have arrived not to defend my trade, but to point out that Gabe forgot to mention something. While putting my best lineup out each week, I engineered a team that earned the 101 naturally. He needed you to know that.
We've all been there.
He said, and now he's the second highest scorer in the league. How do you do that?
What? Really?
I mean, you can confirm that because you guys are in the league together, but
no, not this one. No.
He's gonna get the
Why would he be He wouldn't be trading AJ. He's in the playoffs. There's no way he's trading AJ Green for DJ. That's got to be a different league. I don't know what he's talking about.
I need some clarification, Butcher. We need more.
Yeah.
By the way you do that is you keep 101s and trade away the rest of the firsts for already proven talent. I got Corey Davis, Saquon Barkley, and then traded a bunch of firsts I got otherwise from selling all of my other trash. I ended up with Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams. So, yeah, I went from earning 2 straight 101s to now I'm in second place in points.
Unless it's Saquon or Zeke or Gurley.
Exactly. Yeah, save your 101s, trade away everything else.
We've had some nice rookie classes lately, but I think that plays into people's perspective too. They just expect that to hit every year, and that's just not the case.
Well, I think that's why it's awesome. It's so easy to sell later first because everyone's like, well, Kamara and Hunt were drafted in the end of Hunt, right. His value, but
don't.
I got kicked out. Well, I have a second place team that's now a fourth place team already because of Hunt and AJ Green. But no, I mean, people I started a home dynasty league 2 years ago, and their drafts have been phenomenal. And it's just like, all right, I guess they'll just start selling these picks because sooner or later we're going to go back to 2016, and it's not going to be pretty for them.
Mm-hmm.
Also rest in peace, my Corey Coleman, Josh Doxson,
Laquan Treadwell.
Nope, none of them. Paul Perkins.
Yeah, these are so much better.
Ouch.
Paul Perkins just get mentioned on this podcast.
Yeah, he did. Jordan Howard was the only.
Josh Doxson's not. I mean,
alive? Is he
dead yet? Is he?
They're pulse confirmed, but I mean that's about it.
Yeah, fair.
And we were just talking shit about Mike Williams. Not go down that rabbit hole of Josh Doxson.
Yeah,
I mean, we still want to talk about relevant players, so I feel like there's a line.
That's a team that can draft a wide receiver. The Redskins. I was rolling through. I don't know. I think there's going to be some surprises. People are going to be upset about a wide receiver landing on their team.
Well, it also helps, like Jake was saying before, there's like 12 wide receivers that you'll be happy that would land on your team anyway, fantasy or real life teams. So, yeah, there's probably going to be a few surprise landing spots, but I think we'll all still be happy with most of teams that we want to grab receivers.
Jake, are the Alabama guys eligible to come out this coming year? Judy and Ruggs? I don't know where you look to find that information, but if they are, golly, they're so good.
Judy's 2020, and I believe Ruggs is 2.
Yeah, they'll both be top 15 picks. They'll be amazing. Anyway,
that's gonna be a crazy class in 2020.
Yes.
Cam Akers and all the rest of them. Oh my god,
they're running back dirty.
And can we talk about how 2020 firsts actually are more valuable than 19 firsts right now?
Oh, by
far. That's ridiculous.
It's not close.
I'd pay 3 19 first for a 2020 first, honestly, if I knew it was in the top half of that round.
If I had any 2020 firsts left in any of the trade addicts leagues, I get you in them right now.
Let's do it. I'm down.
This class is going to be solid. It's just not going to be a running back class, and that's the really bankable assets in rookie drafts because those are the guys. They might not sustain value as long as wide receivers, but if they hit, man, they spike. So
it's not as bad as the Paul Perkins running back draft class, though. Like Kenneth Dixon was like a top 6 rookie pick. Like he was.
I still have my hopes out for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, sad.
It's not that bad though, is it? I mean, I think there's some decent guys that could hit. I mean,
Montgomery, Snell.
Yeah, your boy Snell,
Montgomery,
J. Mike, and
there's Anderson, who's
Bryce Love. One guy I was curious about that I was high on last year, and he ended up not coming out, and then this year's just been abysmal. Is LJ Scott? Is there anything positive to say about him? No.
Moving on.
That's a bummer, man. Because I don't know. I thought there was something.
He had that one good year, and then all of a sudden, Devy wise, he was sought after big time. I was never a huge fan of his, but
really, okay.
I just no, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, J. Mike.
No, it's okay. I mean, you can love him all you want to. I don't have to though.
I feel like mommy and daddy are fighting right now.
This NFL
Justice Hill. I like Justice Hill.
I like Justice Hill too. I traded him for. I don't even want to say it.
Here's the thing, though. Would you have liked Justice Hill in last year's draft class?
No.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the point.
All right, you got.
I mean, we're talking about Rodney Anderson who's coming off an ACL injury.
Yeah, no, right.
So it's, and I really liked Rodney Anderson, but if he's still considered like a top 3-ish top 5 running back, that's a little worrisome, I think.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I guess there's just
bust, really.
It's hard to completely, obviously, very, very difficult to predict who is going to be a boom out player such as Philip Lindsay being an undrafted free agent. But with this opportunity arising that running backs are going to drop in this draft class, maybe we can pay a bit more attention to players that might have similar, characteristics to a Philip Lindsay or guys that just fell in the draft and maybe shouldn't have, kind of thing, like a LJ Scott or something like that.
I mean, Philip Lindsay's the biggest outlier of all.
No,
time.
yeah, I agree.
I mean,
I'm just saying it's a reminder that maybe we take things for granted.
I had a really interesting conversation with like Ryan McDowell and Jordan McNamara and
you want me to pick up those names you're dropping right now?
Do you want to go have that conversation with them, or would you like to discuss it with us?
I thought it was interesting because Jacob FF Ski Bum was trolling me a little bit.
Imagine that. What a bum.
Yeah, what a ski bum.
What up, Bidner?
What up, Bidner? He's been riding me so hard on that league, J. Mike. I just want to punch him in the face.
Save it for the auction, man.
Just got real.
He was asking, and again, I don't think it's probably the right choice, but Philip Lindsay or the 101 in 2019.
We know where you are.
I think it's more of a conversation than anybody will give it credit.
No,
that's team dependent.
No, it's not.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I like Harry. I like Harry a lot.
I like Philip Lindsay a whole.
You're really taking Lindsay over the 101?
Maybe not 101, but I really like Philip Lindsay a lot.
Yeah, but
I mean, from a value standpoint, you could probably get more than Philip Lindsay. But from a production standpoint, like without a player there, the 101's probably more valuable.
Gabe is not amused.
I super disagree with this. Like, we could talk about this for a while, for sure.
I got nowhere to go.
And historically, the 101 goes in like the top 30. And he said he wouldn't trade any player that's outside the top 25 to 30 for the 101, which I thought was interesting because I think this is a little bit of a weaker class. And I think the 101 in itself, without a player attached to it, has more value.
Yeah,
I
picks are
think
worth winning.
after the draft is over, the chances of that 101, whoever that player is, and Philip Lindsay, who is going to be the better asset in 6 months, 12 months. I think it's a lot closer than anybody is willing to give it credit for. Just because everyone's team, draft capital and BMI and weight and height, and it's just.
Well, here's my question. The coaching in Denver is atrocious. The quarterback is atrocious. I think it's safe to say there's going to be a whole lot of turnover in that team right now. If a new coach comes in, are we 100% sure that Philip Lindsay is completely safe? I mean, we could always say that, yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. So was Zach Stacy. So was
oh my God.
Awesome. Gosh.
So were all of those Rams running backs. I mean,
Trey Mason.
Yeah, like there's so many times we see these breakout running backs that come out of nowhere, and just the next coach in just doesn't care about them, and there was nothing invested in them. So who cares? I mean, look at what happened to Jordan Howard this year. I mean, that is not a dig on Philip Lindsay at all. He's awesome. I grabbed him everywhere I could when I could. It did not help me do anywhere close to even good in the Scott Fish Bowl, picking him up off waivers. But yeah, no, I'm not confident enough in his situation to, give up even an early first for him right now.
What would you give up for Philip Lindsay?
Right now,
Mike, play the game.
Which game? Sorry.
ADP game.
Oh,
Philip Lindsay or.
It's been a long time. We haven't played this one for a while. Yeah, somebody fill some time for me.
All right, I guess at this point I'll say I would probably,
not
knowing landing spots, take Lindsay over any of the running backs coming out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's probably, that's clearly going to be mid first. We'll say like 6 or 7.
Chiefs is going to be the 102, if not 101.
What was that?
Almost any running back that goes to the Chiefs is probably going to be the 101 or 102.
Really? Do you think?
Really?
If David Montgomery
say 4 or 5 at the highest
in the second round.
Gabe, would you like to do just rookies or would you like to do overall?
I think both would be fun.
I think overall is more interesting.
Overall,
I agree, but I'm curious where he stands among rookies as well. I guess there's probably not much. It's like Saquon and then like pretty much Philip Lindsay. I would think for most of y'all. I don't know. Is there a couple wide receivers ahead?
Maybe.
I mean, not super
I would
flex.
take Chubb for sure over Lindsay.
All right, Chubb.
Wobble up, Chubb.
Geis or Lindsay.
Sorry.
I would take Geis, but I think it's probably closer than a lot of people would say it is.
There's a lot of factors that go into why Philip Lindsay's so good. I mean, you just have to look at the Broncos' offensive line. I looked this up the other day on what's that site on Football Outsiders. Broncos' offensive line is something like the 7th best run blocking unit in the NFL, and these things aren't stable. These things don't maintain themselves year over year. So, again, I'm a Bronco fan. I love Philip Lindsay, but there's so many factors that are helping him be who he is this season, and I really struggle to see that be long term.
So many yards before contact.
Why isn't
exactly
a superstar though?
Royce Freeman's not a superstar because they just keep running him into 10-man boxes.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't do that for Lindsay.
It's the Kamara argument. It's the Dion Lewis argument from last year. Like they'd run him inside the 5-yard line. They don't expect that shit. They don't expect a guy like Lindsay to be getting carries on certain types of situations. They're just not reading into that. And that's on the defense.
Well, no, early in the season,
great. Lindsay's great, but
early in the season, I think that argument flies. The only problem is like he's been running in between the tackles all season long really well. So
with a lot of yards before contact.
Yeah. That's the blockers though too. I mean, that's part on him too. Yards just aren't given to Philip Lindsay, and they're not given to Royce Freeman.
I don't think Denver's offensive line is just out there crushing people. And I don't dispute what you're saying at all, Gabe. All I'm saying is the man's been dynamic in every facet of the game all season long, except for the game where he punches a guy because he thinks he wants to get up and be a hard A, like whatever.
It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, he had like 3 carries and missed the rest of the game because he got ejected. But other than that, like he's been awesome. But anyway, Philip Lindsay or Rashad Penny.
Oh, it's not close.
Lindsay.
Yeah, that's not a question.
Unless
Okay.
you're Howard, that's not close.
Okay, we'll keep it moving. Philip Lindsay, Jarrett McKinnon.
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay, Chris Godwin.
Lindsay. Easy.
I'm gonna stick with
That's
Lindsay on that
tough.
one.
Okay.
It's not for me.
Okay. Philip Lindsay, Christian Kirk.
Kirk.
That's close.
So you guys would rank Kirk over Godwin?
I'm
Yeah.
asking. What? No, I'm going straight off of ADP.
I think Kirk and Godwin are close enough, 80 value wise to me. I think I would prefer Kirk just because he has the straighter lined to more targets on his team because he doesn't have Evans there.
That's fair.
What do you think, Gabe?
Godwin or Lindsay? That one
All the-
is all the guys.
Godwin, Kirk.
Yeah, I would have Lindsay over those first running backs you said because I don't know what to think about the whole McKinnon thing in San Francisco. I just no idea. I'd just have more trust in Philip Lindsay with that, and quite possibly just a better runner all around. I think
think the
is fair
more-
to say.
The most difficult scenario here is Sony Michel or Philip Lindsay.
Lindsay, just because I know he'll play every game.
Yeah, if Sonny Michel was on any
Well,
other
when he
team,
just
almost.
doesn't decide to punch dudes.
Wait, but you just talked about how if they overhaul in Denver, like how funny things can get. Like one thing we do know is what's going on in New England. Like apparently that's never gonna die. Like they're never gonna die. They're robots and stuff. I don't know.
Well, they need
Like,
to get new artificial knees for Sony Michel then.
Yeah, that dude might not be in the league in 2020. Those knees are no good, man.
He's really good.
It's Jay Ajayi all over again.
Ooh, ouch.
Don't hurt me like that.
Dang.
Ouch.
Shots fired.
I love
I got a couple more names that I find interesting. Philip Lindsay or Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd.
Oh yeah, Aton's all about Tyler Boyd. I
don't know
bought
what this
I
Boyd
bought
thing
Tyler
is
Boyd
either.
shares after Aton was on my show.
Oh yeah, good.
That's close.
What do you think, Jake?
I think it's close.
I'm
Probably
not I'm
be-
off this big one.
Boy,
I believe in you.
Lindsay.
Okay.
It's close though.
The last one, not sure this was going to tug at everyone's heartstrings or not. Traquan Smith or Philip Lindsay.
Oh, it's easily
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
I
I
know
know
for
for Traquan, but
that was fun, Gabe.
What those were like all? I guess not all, but there seemed to be a lot of rookies that we talked about.
Young guys.
I have other names in the area that I'd like to mention, but
Yeah,
you guys were shirking those off pretty quickly. Doug Baldwin or
you
Philip
might need
Lindsay.
to go a little bit higher, J. Mike.
yeah, you got to go higher than Doug Baldwin.
Higher.
I'd take Tyler Lockett over Doug Baldwin. Easy.
Just to let you guys know, Tyler Boyd is one spot ahead of Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake or Philip Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay.
Okay. 2 spots ahead of Tyler Boyd is one Devonta Freeman. Devonta Freeman or Philip Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Probably Lindsay, but
Wow, that one's interesting to me.
That is super interesting.
but can you imagine that we're even having this conversation?
Oh my. Oh,
Freeman's breaking down.
Where's Lindsay's ADP? I don't where
Well, the
where are
last-
we at here?
The last,
Not that it really matters, but just
J Mike, why don't you
Curious, I
tell
guess.
where he's at in the last, and then I'll go into the last mock that we're currently running at DLF.
So this is overall on DLF for November. He is at 73. The little ADP thing in terms of his average says 68.
Oh, he's
So-
probably
And then
late
probably
40s at
way
this
higher
point.
than that now. Yeah.
up where he went in my last mock.
After the Bengals game, he probably rose.
He went
up.
at 5-2 in this December mock.
That's
Was that 12 team?
At 5'2".
It's 12 team, yeah.
So top 50 pick, huh?
Well, no.
yeah. Math teacher.
It is, Jake.
Well, I guess it's right on 50. Yeah, you're right. Good math. Yeah, so
That's like saying he's top 10 wide receiver and he ends up at 10. I know that was weak as shit. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you guys this: Tariq Cohen, Philip Lindsay. Ooh, I got one. I'm excited for this next one. Go ahead.
I think I go Cohen.
Okay.
It's hard. That's really hard. Because I don't think Jordan Howard stays on that team past this year.
I think they also bring in the running back.
Yeah, they have to.
But it's not like Cohen's like the dude now. Yeah.
And plus, if Trubisky gets hurt again, they could just have Cohen play quarterback.
True.
They have Trey Burton. They have an emergency quarterback if they need it.
True. They got a team of just trick play quarterbacks now.
I think this next one's going to be fun. I guess this depends on if you're in on this guy or not. Allen Robinson or Philip Lindsay.
Oh, Allen Robinson.
Lindsay.
I can't let go.
Philip Lindsay.
I'll never let go.
Jake, who you say?
Lindsay.
Russ, I'll never let go.
I'll never let go.
I think that Lindsay's going to go higher than Allen Robinson in startup drafts next year, but I mean, if I could get, Lindsay for Allen Robinson plus like late first, second, whatever, which is,
I don't think you're getting that.
Might be that difference eventually if Lindsay keeps balling like he is and Allen Robinson kind of keeps being lackluster. I don't know. I'd try and seek something like that.
I know we're doing a lot of names right here, but we're about to reach some serious thresholds here. Alshon Jeffrey or Philip Lindsay?
Lindsay.
Lindsay. I hate Alshon. Yeah. He's hurt my feelings.
I think the topper here, J. Mike, if you don't mind throwing me throwing this in. Kerryon Johnson.
Oh, Carry
on.
I was going to go all the way up to Jarvis, which is at 34.
You trust that offense, though?
I just like Kerryon.
They want to give Kerryon the ball. They want him to be the offense. That I trust.
You do? How much did they do that this year?
Well, the past few games before he got hurt, they were doing it.
Pretty inconsistently.
Hater.
So
I think with Stafford kind of taking a step back, they want to run the ball more in Detroit.
Stafford.
Andrew Frechette said, rank these RB punches. Fournette's versus the Bills or Lindsay's?
Dude, Lindsay's was into like a group of guys on the floor filled with helmets.
I think Fournette just slapped the guys, so I have to go see what that.
Can we bring in Blunts back in college? Because that's still my favorite.
That's a nasty one. It's a
nasty one. RB punches of all time. Okay. Go.
Gabe, well, obviously we're well over time, but I think we've got to move along.
All right, fine. I don't think there's there was no direction on that discussion at all.
We're having so much fun. It makes me sad, but
yeah.
Kerryon's got no more than 19 rushes in a game. And
when was the last time a Detroit running back got 19 touches?
14, 15. That's not an argument, though.
I still say, look at Stafford's volume.
I would take Kerryon too, but I think it's relatively close.
How many?
I think you want it to be relatively close.
A game.
Probably no more than that either.
Plus, that was without Royce Freeman for half the season, right? So
more between 50 and 20 against the Bengals. Fact checking. Who's going to have it first?
Not me. I'm not looking.
He had 19 versus Cincinnati. He only had one catch too. So, I mean, he's been getting more touches than Kerryon was.
I'm exhausted, J. Mike.
We got it. Yeah, I know.
Of Philip Lindsay, I mean.
I blocked off like another 2 hours for this. So
we're 95 minutes in. Like this is good, but
yeah.
She's not that good. Is that what you're saying?
I'll be quiet. Gabe, you just you do what you do, baby boy.
Are we saying goodbye? Is this it?
It's your world. You drive this bus.
Really?
Always. You are always about skirt.
Cortland Sutton or Philip Lindsay. Okay. Let's get out of here. Wow. What a show. Did someone talk about Pluto at some point? Because I don't know what
I'm
planet.
gonna say that was the Wonder Kid.
We did.
The
We
Wonder
did.
Kid. Speaking
can't.
of the Wonder Kid, besides your hot planet takes, what else can we, have from you?
What else can you have from me? Well, like I mentioned before, you will see a new podcast coming out soon that I will be extending invitations to all of you guys to guest on.
I already spoke to Stompy and I called dibs on first guest.
Sam Lane?
I talked to Stumpy. He said that. And then also you can find Dynasty Diagnostic Reports on my Twitter page. If you want one, definitely DM me for details for that.
And I got you on that intro, bruh.
All right. Appreciate it.
So many intros, J Mike. So many intros.
My man stays in the booth.
And J Mike in the booth with me. All right. I think I made it. Jay. Guys, I don't know what I'm saying. Jake, just
Yeah, I think I did my outro at the beginning of the show, so
I know.
I'll just move it.
You know
I'll
what,
move
J
it
Mike,
up.
we should do that. We should just like say bye at the end,
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because those intros were so fucking long. Like they wouldn't stop talking. I was like, okay, let's talk, And then so now we're doing this all over again. The outros are long. Like, what are we doing?
I was led to believe that this was a platform where we can not only express our opinions, but let people know who we really are, and not just as fantasy football analysts, but as people, and as I'm running out of things to say.
There's got to be some motivational music
In
for
terms
this.
of how much we like or dislike Philip Lindsay, actually.
Gosh.
Philip Lindsay, Cooper Cup. Oh,
Now do it.
That'd be a fun one for me to play with.
yes, it is.
Well, I don't think you need to. You seem very angry at the mention of his name.
Look,
Don't bring up Cooper Cup. Don't put that evil on me.
if you thought Gabe was tired of Philip Lindsay, nah, bruh.
Dude, that was something else. What?
No, Gabe. No,
Yeah.
not-
All right, yeah. It just got it was super disrespectful. All right. Russ, are you finished talking? I found some inspirational music if you want to keep going.
Let's hear
I don't
it.
know what it sounds like, but can we hear that?
Louder.
Louder?
Pump it up.
Oh.
All right, listen, everybody. This isn't just about fantasy football. This is about people. It's about community. It's not just the takes we have. It's who we are on the inside and what that brings to help you not only become better fantasy football players, but also better people, and not just to the people in your league, to the people all around you, because that's what matters. It's what you put out into the universe that matters. Not this game, not this podcast. The Trade Addicts podcast matters. Go listen and subscribe. But it's really just about the lasting effect the smallest kindness can have on just another person, even if you don't know who they are. That person, they feel that kindness in their heart, and they push that kindness onto another person. And another, and next thing you know, we are living in a kind world that everyone wants to be a part of. And again, that's what it's all about. Being a part of something. How are you guys still letting me talk?
Because I'm interested as fuck. This is great. I didn't know how you could stop.
I don't like. We probably just lost whatever viewers we had left.
You nailed that.
I was turning up the wrong microphone.
You could
the
have
whole
sold
time.
that up a little bit better. That would have been just.
I had nowhere to go. I was just
Your compass works way better than mine. Now that's the full circle, bro. All right. Jake,
Wrench on the chat said, WTF am I watching?
That's the feeling I like leaving people with.
Oh, that's too good.
Go watch or go listen to Trade Addicts.
And Dynasty Diagnostic.
Hey, put out a show first, then you interrupt when people talk.
Hey, I will take back your guest spot. I'll do it.
I got Stompy on my side. That boy tells me he loves me at least once a day.
Jake, did you say anything, or can I hand this over to J Mike?
Bye, guys.
All right, perfect. J Mike.
Apparently, the only reason I'm here is to report the news of CJ Anderson signing with the Chiefs. So I'm glad that happened.
Gosh, that was a low point. Whoa.
We've come so far since then.
And that's how I came out swinging, Gabe. Like, it was great. You can find me on Twitter.
It was a long thing too. Like you said 45. You had a 45-second soliloquy of
going on news that wasn't real. It was great. Fake news.
I should have muted you, dude. I'm sorry.
Positive.
Just y'all waited till I finished and then was like, huh? Shit, guys. On Twitter at JMikeCheck, at JMICCheck. Shows handles at the Open Bar FP. What up, Fake Pigskin? What up, Jared? What up, Kyle? Appreciate you guys. And everyone else over at Fake Pigskin. Obviously, you can find the show on iTunes, on Podbean, on Stitcher, on most all of your favorite podcast players and catchers, including Spotify, which was actually a high point for me the other day, seeing that we were on Spotify. Already knew that, but it was just good to have that reaffirmed, which is pretty cool. Again, you can find the main attraction of this show, Gabe's wonderful salad there at FF Man Bun. The host with the most. He's the man with all the rhymes in due time. Gabe, take us home.
God, so good at speaking. I don't feel right sometimes, man. Like
Mesmerized.
Like I don't know, man. Like maybe, you let me drive or whatever, but I'm certainly driving a Tesla and you are the technology behind that Tesla, auto-piloting my way to nothingness. Anyways, that I do some intros, some rap intros of sorts, working on those. I've been struggling. I'll be honest right now. So sorry to those that I haven't been getting them out to y'all. I'm working, but we also have t-shirts. We're working on maybe figuring out where exactly we want to sell that from. We have no idea, to be honest. But if you are interested in the whole Wubba Lubba Chub Chub t-shirt, it is pinned on my profile. There's a Google form you can sign up and give me your address. I mostly just want to send you things that will make you say, huh? I just read the other day, guys, real quick, White Elephant gift party. What do you think about this? You go to a Build-A-Bear workshop and, oh, there's our shirts. Hold on. Build-A-Bear workshop, and you record the bear saying, along the lines of, get your fucking hands off me. What do you think about that as a White Elephant gift?
I would steal that from somebody.
Would you like that?
Absolutely.
You like that?
I mean, yes, Kirk Cousins.
Okay, well, at least I got one opinion. Thanks. J Mike, say some words and people can see the shirt if they're still hanging out with us.
Wubba lubba chub chub.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. This is where it's at. Again, find it on Gabe's. It's a pin tweet on Gabe's page. Check it out.
I mean, what are you gonna do with Philip Lindsay? Like, good luck with the shirt there, pal. So, cool, bro.
Call back.
This has been great. We always have a blast here. If you'd like to come on the show, feel free to reach out. That is exactly how Eitan is on here right now. He reached out to me. We're buds. We're pals now. I'm coming on his podcast, probably first because Russ is an asshole.
It's true. I definitely stepped down to at least second. Yeah. I accept that.
Man.
But that's all we've got. You can put your drinks up, fellas, ladies, if you're out there watching. Mine's empty. Guys, you know what we didn't do enough tonight is we didn't say, for one, yes. For two, we didn't hit the Debbie don't enough. So for our last little call here, put your drinks up and just say, Debbie.
Don't.
Don't do
Don't.
it.
Don't.
Don't, Debbie. Don't. And that's a big old deuces for you, Debbie.